Okay, Shawnee, well done, sis. The Florida girls are starting to give us something, but I am wondering with the Saints down at First Baptist Episcopal on the Hill. Think about you still dipping your sanctified fingers into TV reality fights. Child, let's get into this 98th spinoff of Basketball Wives. Welcome, welcome, beautiful people. So, we are back and we are going to be talking about Basketball Wives Orlando. It's so crazy how this show has had so many iterations. Honey, we started out Basketball Wives Miami. Do you realize this show has had 6 spinoffs since this damn Basketball Wives franchise started? We had Basketball Wives LA, we had Football Wives, we had Baseball Wives, we had Shawnee's Home Court, we had Basketball Wives Orlando. Child, we have been everywhere and nowhere at the very same time because we've really just been keeping it down in the Southern Peninsula. I don't know. Either way, Orlando does seem different to me. I do like that these girls are either all associated as a girlfriend or an ex-wife or ex-fiance of a player because we've been really missing that on reality TV. People just on shows that they don't have no real affiliation to, super light connections. So I appreciate that most of these girls have guys that played in the NBA or at least now playing overseas. But it's so many damn people on this cast, y'all. Do y'all not feel like that? I mean, it's a lot to keep up with. So, for everybody that doesn't know, there are at least like 9 girls. Let's go with them really quick so we can stay up with the story because it's so many damn M's, so many damn people on this show. It's clearly one of these things like in college in the first day where they tell you, like, look to your left, look to your right. Everybody won't be here past the season. This is clearly a tryout season. So let's meet Shawnee's new squad. All right, y'all. So let's just try to figure out this roster. So first we got Ashley Snell. She's the wife of Tony Snell. Ooh, that name. So Tony, much like the amount of basketball wives shows we've had, has been on several NBA teams. Girl, he played for the Bucks, the Pistons, the Hawks, the Trailblazers, and even the Pelicans. Child, he's been everywhere. And seems like now he's not even in the league. He played in the G League, which is like the minor league for the NBA for a little bit, and I think he also ended up playing overseas. So Ashley is like, I guess, the bona fide basketball wife because at least he actually played in the league for more than one season. And their story is really, really unique because she has 2 sons with Tony, and I believe one of the sons is diagnosed with autism. And I do remember this story last year because ESPN had actually covered them. And they also revealed that Tony had been diagnosed with autism when he was 31. So it was like a really heartwarming story and unique. Ashley seems like a bit of a troublemaker, but we need that in the mix of the group. So I'm excited to see her on the cast. Then next up we got Neek. Neek is a very popular YouTuber on this platform. She has like 1.22 million followers, and sis is a very, very popular social media star. We see that on the show. She has one child that she had before she met her NBA boo, Dwayne Bacon, who actually now plays, I believe, in Europe. And then he has 2 kids with one other cast member. When I tell you the way that this cast floats in and out of each other is crazy. Next up, we got Milan. She used to date somebody named Bobo. I don't know. Milan is a social media influencer and she's a brand ambassador for Fashion Nova. And she also used to be a basketball player. Okay, so next up we got Lindsay Marble, and she, I know I recognized her. She reminded me of Mayetta from RHOA, but she was on Yes to the Dress a few years back. I remember. Anyway, she's the wife of former NBA player Divine Marble, and he used to play for the Orlando Magic, and now he plays overseas, and she is currently pregnant. We got Nikki Nicole. A lot of us remember her from Black Ink Crew. She was Ford's girlfriend on there, and we'll get into her a little bit later. And we got Danielle Miller. She was not in this episode, but she is a former fiance of Rashad Vaughn. And Rashad used to play for the Brooklyn Nets, but now he plays in the G League. And they have a very cute, unique, like love and basketball type story because they actually met at UNLV where he was playing, and she was also a basketball player. So it's kind of giving love and basketball fell apart. So rounding off this starting 9, we got Mackenzie Hyatt. She is the girlfriend of Rashad Vaughn. Now, the Mackenzie to me is easily the most controversial person of this season. She is the most unique heifer in this bunch because she currently dates Rashad, who is the ex-fiance of Danielle, and she has kids with Neek's man, Dwayne Bacon. It's given Mama said this box is only for NBA money, honey. And of course, we got our girl Megan James, and it's clearly that she is the HBIC, at least for Orlando. And, Megan used to date Kendrick Brown from the NBA. Lastly, rounding out again, this squad is Morgan Bledsoe. She is the former wife of Eric Bledsoe. He also been on multiple teams, child. He was even playing in China overseas for a while, child, but he got disqualified for like 5 years for fixing games. Scandalous. But let's get on to this episode. So, of course, we started the episode off with our girl, Megan James. And Megan is reminding us that she is 30-ish something years old, and she has just recently moved from LA to Orlando. And, of course, they show a scene back from when Megan used to be on Basketball Wives back in the day, honey, fighting with Drea. And immediately it got me thrown to, and what were you doing when you were 24, Drea? Thotting and bopping. Anyway, we also reminded that Megan used to be on Bad Girls Club. Honey, Bad Girls was the original baddies. And she essentially says that she's trying to come away from that image. She doesn't want to be the same girl she used to be, and that moving to Orlando is going to give her a fresh start and put her past behind her. Now, I don't want to completely put her past behind her because Megan is petty and very, very funny and has a wonderful podcast, and we still need some of that petty for that podcast.
How do you feel about Diddy and Carisha relationship? Because that's, to be honest with you, in the space that I am in my life right now, I need that.
Yeah. See, well, I went down that road already with Rich. So at one point, I was
Rich
like,
is not Diddy, sis.
No.
Okay, so Megan lets us know that despite her transformation to the basketball world, she still has a lot of connections. She said that she's been linked to many players, some sports agents, honey, even some referees. And Megan says, she tries to keep it quiet and sealed as to what her past was, because the quieter you are, the more money you get. And I'm like, girl, we need a tell-all. When I tell you, girl, we need to know all the details. Megan, who paying you to keep quiet? We need to know. If anybody knows, drop down in the comments and let us know some of the tea. Anyway, Megan says that she really wants to be in the Zen part of her life. And as she says that, who comes traipsing down the way but Shawnee O'Neal? Miss Sanctified is back in the house, y'all, for both of her franchises, honey, because she was also on LA this weekend. Anyway, Shawnee, they don't even put that Shawnee's like a first lady. They put that her title as an ex-wife of NBA player Shaquille O'Neal. It was absolutely funny because, recently we mostly been doing, Shawnee doing the whole first lady of 17th Street Baptist, honey. So I was shocked that they had her listed as that, and also the wife of Shaq, versus saying that she's now married to that questionable man that's in TD Jakes' entourage. Anyway, Shawnee comes walking in and gives Meg a hug, and they start having a conversation. And they start talking about Megan's transition. This felt like a vanity appearance for me with Shawnee. I just felt like we didn't really need this setup to get to know the new girls. We knew Megan enough that we didn't need her to have this sit down about changing her life. It just gave, a fake sit down scenario, and honestly, just a way for Shawnee to show off her new Chanel tote, honey. So Shawnee co-signs Megan's start to her new life, and she gives her advice about, living in Orlando. And this is definitely an area where Shawnee knows best because she spent so many years married to Shaq, who played for the Orlando Magic. So she knows the layout of the land, and she knows the ladies there. Megan feels like this is a great person to talk to her about transitions because Shawnee, has essentially moved on to another part of her life in the church world. So she's just trying to explain that this is somebody who is leading a more peaceful existence. So it seems, you know what I'm saying? And this is somebody who can give her good advice. Megan basically says that she knows some of the girls that live here as she's moving here, and she knows some of the cast members, and she think it might be a good idea if she sends like an IG invite to them to have like a little brunch and have the girls meet up. And we all know that really is in her contract that if she don't start at least 3 fights by the end of the week, she's going to be going by the end of the season. So while Megan out here sending out IG invites, we next meet Ashley Snell. And off the rip, I have to say that Ashley seems like a motherfucking problem, and I'm here for it. We need this drama on the reality shows. We need a unlikable bitch. And Ashley look like she's going to be that girl. I mean, she hasn't even spoken a word, and already I know this girl going to be an issue. So Ashley is actually like a current basketball wife, which is also really great because, like I said before, they just be adding anybody onto these shows. She is the wife of Tony Snell, who we talked about earlier, and she's also an entrepreneur. She's really giving true basketball wife. And I have to say, I absolutely loved it. I even loved her hair color, honey. That deep red was so, so gorgeous on her. And the walk up with the red suit, it was giving. Ashley lets us know she's not just some sitting around housewife either, honey. She made her first million by the time she was 28, and she's currently working on an athleisure wear line. So sis is out here trying to collect her coins, and she is not trying to play. She is going to be dressing all you hoes in the gym. At least that's her plan. And I have to say, I actually was excited to see somebody with a franchise or really with a job or business that wasn't the same old to a certain degree. I mean, it is a clothing line, but at least it's athleisure wear. And it's not giving She by Sheree. It's not giving Swag Boutique. She really has a real store in Winter Park, Florida, that's filled with actual clothes and a real employee. It's not giving merch online. And I appreciate that. I like the colors of some of the clothes. And I appreciate that, it was actually a real retail store. And, she's saying that she's trying to transition with her line and get it to more places. And she just wants to be more consistent in the success of her business and to grow it a little bit more. And, she said that she doesn't just only spend time working. She shows up to the gym where her husband is playing and, trying to let us know that, she used to play the sport herself. So Ashley is a nice little addition, I think, to the episodes. At best, she'll be a good mess. Let me say something. I absolutely loved Ashley's house, or at least the rental that they're staying in, honey. It was beautiful and it was gorgeous. It was giving what we need to see. I'm tired of seeing these little small townhouse apartments that they be having these women sit in. And, this could very much be a rental because I'm not even sure if they live here full time, but it was just nice to see. And did I notice that Tony was a free agent? Is he playing overseas? We need some more details because some of these men, they wasn't an NBA. They're not an NBA. We need to have some clarity on what they exactly do. Are they dropping it? They getting picked up? Who knows? Side note, I also want to say that just aside from Ashley, I'm loving how this season's already being shot. It's giving real basketball wives, at least real girlfriends. It's giving possibly real business ventures. It's giving slightly luxury home situations. This is what we need to see. This is what we missed on TV. We want to see the inside lives of these wives and these girlfriends as they transition, whether they're married or divorced, whether they broke up with somebody and they're looking for somebody new. Is what we've been asking for. We really want the credentials to match. That's all we've been asking for this entire time. So we are seeing that some of these affiliations are a little paper thin. Don't get me wrong. There's one or two that I'm kind of wondering, like, how long did y'all really date? I mean, timelines would be really, really helpful. At this point, I don't know if they dated for a year or whether or not this lady just picked him up for 2 Uber rides and that's it. I need to know more information about some of the lengths of these timelines with these women. So we cut to Megan in the park and she is on live and inviting all the girls, I think in the group chat with the instant message or whatever, to a garden party brunch. So this is set up to be some real mess. So before we get to the mess, we actually meet Morgan. And I have to say that the transition to Morgan was weird as fuck. Like, honestly, I didn't know what was happening. Like, they had Morgan in like this weird kitchen scene and she's got on that standard like colorful logo Versace robe that everybody had during the pandemic, child. And I don't care whether you got it from DH Gate or Versace. Everybody and their mama had it in a whole bunch of different colors. And she's sitting there and she's popping champagne in the middle of the morning. I don't know where this was going. And then we see her just randomly get into her pool. What was this transition? It gave rap video. We're still watching the show at this point. I didn't know what was happening. She's in some like leopard jean bathing suit. It's giving a montage of like a 1980s rap album, just random. Anyway, Megan is the ex of Eric Bledsoe, who was a former NBA guard, and he cheated on her multiple times, currently not a divorce. Megan is thinking of moving to Orlando, and she's actually out and about looking for a salon suite that she also wants to turn into like a halfway beauty school. And again, I'm just here for the girls having real businesses that isn't just hair. So she's looking around and she's with the property manager. He's explaining to her the facility and what it looks like. And it's actually a really pretty pink facility. And she's, talking to him, I guess, about leasing a situation. He's showing her the office and the office has a bathroom. Thank goodness. It was just really nice to see, her have a real storyline with real energy behind the type of business that she's trying to run. And that we're just not seeing everybody just come out with a beauty wig, nail, leggings line. It's refreshing. She shares 3 kids with Eric and they're no longer married. And she's been coming to Orlando the last few summers and she's deciding if she really wants to move there. Later on, we see her sitting with her kids by the pool and with her mama, Carita, and they're having a conversation about her making this transition down to Orlando. And her mom is telling her, like, this is a great place. You already come down here. What are you considering as far as like moving? And she says that, she likes the feeling down here and absolutely it could be a good vibe for her, especially being a single woman. And she said that she's been getting looks from different people since she's been down there. And it's nice being, interestingly, a single woman. And she tells her mom, I'm like, maybe we should go out together and try to see if we can get, our own little thing going. Her mom like, look, don't be cramping my style. When I tell you Miss Carita look like she done lived a life, honey, and she ain't interested in you coming in on her game. It was really, really cute to see this cute exchange with her and her mom, just because I love stuff like that. Like, I'm cool with my mom. I'm very close to my mother. And it feels like as an adult, when you have that kind of relationship, it's very sweet. The other reason that Morgan really wants to move down there is because she loves the support system that she has with her mother. And she says, with you being down here and with the kids, it's really, really helpful. They can see you more and just being around family really helps. Her mom says, yeah, but girl, pump your brakes because I have other grandkids and I also want to make sure that even though I love your children, I'm giving them all good time. So I'm going to have to move around so everybody feel like they got love. But she tells her that, if you create a support system and get a full support system down here, it'll make things a lot easier. Her mom says, like, don't you have friends down here? Like, when you came here before, you used to be hanging out with folks. Like, what's up with those people? And Morgan mentions to her that she does, in fact, have a friend down here, the girl Ashley, and that they were very tight at one point, and they used to actually travel together everywhere. They were very cool, but then they fell out. And we go to like a background scene where we see that Morgan and Ashley are arguing about Ashley bringing some women around Morgan's man. Child, it was giving very much dirty tease, and it was giving early like Dwayne Martin, Lisa Ray. If you know, you know. And I really hate women not looking out for each other, just the way that scenario is setting up, and how Morgan is explaining to us how Ashley was just really grimy, bringing hoes around her husband. I just wasn't feeling that situation. I really feel like women need to be looking out for each other when it comes to that, especially when it comes to these athletes, because they travel so much, and it just feels like you really should be, reporting back if you see some shit, not hooking him up with the person. I mean, honey, where is Kelly Pitts when we need her? It just wasn't giving Sunbeam's energy. I didn't like it. So the day has finally come for Megan's garden brunch. And I have to say, I was highly disappointed in some of the women's attire. And by some of the women, I mean you, Ashley. Okay. Why were you dressed like a Fashion Nova doll dummy? It did not make sense to me. I don't know. When I'm thinking garden brunch, I'm thinking something maybe a little bit more semi-formal. And I think a lot of the women did that very, very well. I'm thinking something very cute and jazzy. I'm not thinking jeans and a tank top with a gold chain. I understand what was going on with her outfit. It was giving Fashion Nova's finest. And, she's walking into the place, and she, said that she's not completely excited. She's excited to see some of the women, but not necessarily Morgan. And, already is giving fake bitch tease. Girl, why do we get a little glimpse of the restaurant prior to Ashley walking in, and they show Morgan at the table, and there's these like placement cards they have for like where everybody's gonna sit, and Morgan sees that Ashley's card is sitting next to her, and she completely changes it out for Neek's card. That had me cracking up. I could not believe that they actually showed that scene. Early petty, I love to see it. When I'm telling you, Morgan is not fooling with this lady, and I feel like she got one more time to say something to her, and it's gonna be a table shaking minute. Ashley brings a +1, some girl named Penguin or Pagala, honey, I don't remember the name. Child, don't give me the line when I tell you these girls showed up, and, they have these like random heifers that show up on these scenes sometimes on these different reality shows, and we can't remember it. There's already so many girls in this cast. I'm not trying to remember nobody else's name. So I'm automatically thinking like, Ashley, why are you bringing somebody else? Was this girl invited to the situation? Like, you just don't bring somebody, some random stranger to brunch. Like, what is wrong with you? It's giving messy, and it's giving exactly what Morgan ended up saying later on in the episode, that you tried to bring a bodyguard. Like, you were already thinking that some stuff was going to pop off between you and her. You wanted to have somebody fighting for you. So Ashley's posted up at the bar with Periwinkle, and they're about to like do this little girls toast with each other between the two of them. And she said that she wants to toast to having, good vibes and good energy and leaving gutter rats in the sewer. And she's saying that mess because it's only her and Penguin and Morgan there, but the restaurant is filled with other people, and they're not near each other. Her and Penguin are at the bar. Morgan's on the other side of the room, honey. And all that little mess she talking in her little friend ear, I know she wouldn't say in Morgan's face. So our girl Morgan is sitting by her lonesome, and we could just see in Morgan's face that she is just not happy to be like the only other person there besides these two heifers. And, she's sitting there, she's drinking solo, it's giving sassy and alone, and I hate this, but luckily our girl Neek walks in, and Neek, we talked about earlier, she's the girlfriend of Dwayne Bacon, and he plays overseas, and Morgan is super excited, to see Neek, and it just means she's not alone anymore. It's like she's not the only person in the restaurant, because we know she's not messing with Ashley. And Morgan and Neek know each other through another girl named Milan, and Milan's supposed to come to the brunch, but she's not there yet. So they sit down and start talking, and they get to having a little conversation. They're giving each other little compliments. And Neek looks very, very cute and brunch appropriate in her outfit. And, she starts talking to her about how everything's going with her and Dwayne. And she basically said that, she's out here. She's outside. She's letting y'all know, look, it ain't nothing stopping the show. Her man trusts her because he doesn't have a reason to be jealous. He knows who she is. And so, again, like I stated before, Neek has one child with Dwayne. And then Dwayne has 2 children with the other castmate, Mackenzie. And, Neek has been popular on YouTube for years. She had her kid, way earlier in her life. And, she showed her whole pregnancy and everything like that. So people are familiar with who she is and the entire situation. Like, your girl has been on YouTube for at least a decade or more. And the baby mama situation is something that's fairly new ever since she started dating Dwayne. And his baby mama, Mackenzie, lives in Orlando, and she's going to be at the brunch today. When I tell you, it's just messy upon messy. And this is giving us what we missed about Basketball Wives. So Nick explains that, she doesn't have any issues with the baby mama, but she just feels like she's always throwing shots at her. And they actually go back to a scene where they're having this discussion about how, it's between Mackenzie and Nick, and they're having this discussion about how, Nika's never had a problem with her, but she feels like she tries to tarnish her name and throw dirt on her name, and she doesn't really feel that. And she's going to clap back when she feels like she's being disrespected. And Mackenzie said that that's not the feeling that she has. And, she doesn't want her to feel like she's trying to, mess with her in any kind of way, or that she gets any type of feeling that Mackenzie has a problem with her. And so Nick comes back and says that they hopefully resolved everything, but you just never know. And as she's saying, you never know, honey, here come Mackenzie straighting up the stairs as another person added to the brunch. And when I tell you, it just reminded me again about the fact that this basketball world is so small. The NBA really not that big, because these girls are traveling from place to place to place. And specifically, our girl Mackenzie is clearly somebody who is never trying to leave that circle. Miss Sis went NBA hunting and already found herself somebody new. So finally, Megan arrives, and thank the Lord. I think it's like 4 people now, plus that extra random friend, and nobody asked to come. And they're all sitting down and they're talking and to Megan. They're asking, what's bringing her to Orlando. And Megan gives them, her bio and her reasons. And some of the ladies are, listening to what she's saying and, talking about their transition and being wives and stuff like that. And, Megan is saying that there's some other ladies coming and that she doesn't really know all of the folks there. She's only talked to a few of them. She really just met like Milan like the other day. So, everybody's kind of new to her. Side note, I loved Morgan's iridescent ombre purse. I don't know the brand. I got to look it up later and find out, because it was super, super, super cute. And she has it sit on the table next to her. So while Megan is talking to the girls about everything going on in her life, Mackenzie is staring down Neek with a little bit of like light anger. And I'm like, girl, let it go. I don't even know what the situation is, but let it go. Because she's giving her like little stink eye. You can kind of tell when she's traipsing you and looking at you real funny. So Morgan lets the girls know that she is on her 4th drink. And Morgan, we can see, she's having a good time, but not really. I think she was just trying to drink to get over the nervousness and, some of the anxiety of having to deal with Ashley. But it's giving, you need to learn how to hold your liquor. I feel like it wasn't necessary to drink that many glasses of champagne, even if it is just champagne, to get yourself together. So I want her to have another outlet. Maybe she should journal. And so she says that, she's on her 4th drink and, she's got to deal with stuff. And then Mackenzie looks over and goes, oh, I'm only on my 1st. And when I tell you, it was not cute after that. Morgan looks at her like, bitch, what did you just say? It was a tight scene. And then we go to commercial. We come back from commercial, it's still not good because they replay that exact situation. And, from there, it's just like a weird scenario. You can tell that Megan was casted to be the Natalie Nunn, because she kind of looks at the situation and, she's like, oh, what is this about? And, Morgan gives this weird, like scary laugh after Mackenzie's comment. And you just know that that's the kind of energy somebody gives when they're ready to go off. Megan wants to know, like, what's the situation with the girls? Like, why they don't like each other? And, Megan is busy wondering, like, is it a good idea to even bring these girls together for brunch? Because, she's trying to transition to a new Zen individual and these women might not be it. So the ladies separate, and so Morgan can get another drink. And then, Morgan is back on the champagne and she's pissed off. And she said that she can't stand it. And for me, I have to say that this scene was really annoying to watch. I can't stand a grown woman that doesn't know how to hold their liquor or know their limit. Like, even if you were just trying to get loose because you were trying to feel a little bit less anxious, mama, lay off the glass fluids. We don't really need you to be this served up in the middle of the day. And it's at a light brunch and it's off of champagne. So I really didn't know what the situation was. Like, even if you had a mimosa, it's just like, girl, like, know your limit. You could still, keep a tempered evenness to yourself, articulate yourself directly to the bitch that you don't like and not have to do the lush mode, because it wasn't really working for me. So Morgan's having her issues. She's standing somewhere near where Ashley is, and Ashley's like kind of like talking shit. She's not feeling that. And then she ends up talking to Mackenzie. And Mackenzie goes outside and she like talks to her because she wants to like kind of air over the situation. And she's like trying to find out, like, why is this girl drinking a little bit? Like, what's going on? And, Morgan is standing by the door and she's seeing Ashley act all extra because Ashley just can't believe that, Morgan is drinking and she's such an embarrassment, all that kind of energy she's giving. And Morgan says that, she can't stand people who are fake and she can't stand people who don't have a life, so they have to create drama. And, when your life is boring, that's what happens. And of course, she said that loud enough for Ashley to hear. And so Ashley's kind of walking away. And, Ashley tries to show herself like she's above everybody because she's older and all of that. But Morgan is not having that. Morgan said that Ashley lives a fake life in a fake world, and her life is not real, and not even her bags are real. And why did she say that? It's just heightening the situation. But let me find out Ashley's like the new Jen Shaw, honey. Like, she's giving fake luxury. And actually, I really don't even care about this, to be honest with you. I don't care how this lady's spending her money. I think it's actually pretty smart if you get a dupe or replica for some of these bags, honey, because Chanel is losing their damn mind. And I ain't mad because Ashley don't look like she's starving neither. That's how you keep your money. Meanwhile, all the drama is going on between these two ladies, and it's a little back and forth going on. Ashley's starting to stand there with Mackenzie, and they're trying to have a conversation. And then she's standing over at one point, just sort of having this like discussion, and Ashley's talking to Periwinkle, and they're going back and forth about the situation with like getting louder. Who do you think you are? Why, meantime, this whole thing is going on, Megan and Nick are sitting at the table and have never left their conversation. When I tell you this, let me know that they're going to really be the head honchos on this show, because these girls didn't even let any of the drama that was happening, these women, disturb them in their conversation. Megan wants to know what's tea and why these heifers are fighting. Meek says that she doesn't actually know why they're going on, but she's cool with both Ashley and Morgan, so she tries to mind her business as much as possible. I hear that. And I feel like we're going to see Neek be the like Cynthia Bailey of this situation. It's given that she's going to be the nice, sweet one that tries to like get people to like be, good together. And she's going to be the one that gives us a real personality, but tries to do, the peacemaker energy. Her and Megan go on to discuss how like Megan is looking for somebody to do her hair while she's down there. And I love this moment. For me personally, it stood out because I love the fact that they're showing reality of what happens when you transition different places. And as a Black woman, you looking for a new hairdresser, you got to find a new nail person, especially if you're somebody who keeps yourself together and well-groomed. So I love how Nick was saying, she got somebody that does her weave and she got somebody to do her natural hair, because sometimes you can't go to the same person. Let people play to their strengths. But the authenticity of the conversation is what I enjoyed the most, especially when you're trying to transition and you need to keep up your glam squad. In reality, these women move so often, especially in the basketball world, that it's really hard to find new people. And so when you can get a reference, it's pretty cool. But these heifers are still fighting in the background. And, the restaurant people done started moving to the other side. And so Megan and Nika continuing their conversation. And Nika's telling her that, she's with Dwayne. And Megan says, how's that going? How's everything been up to? And Nick says that everything is good. Dwayne is actually a native of Florida. I think he's from Lakeland. And she says, yeah. And she says, Mackenzie is the baby mama. And Megan definitely gave the Scooby-Doo like, girl, what? This is messy. Child, she not only says that, she says that Mackenzie lives 3 doors down for them where they currently stay. But, whatever's cool with the situation is fine. It's giving weird. And while they continue to have this conversation, the restaurant people, including the man behind the bar, start standing around because Megan has walked up to, Morgan has walked up to Pedigree, and she is talking to her about staring at her. So at this point, Morgan is very lit, and she's just now on some, I don't like the way this girl's staring at me. I'm about to approach her. And, now the friend is starting to, mumble her words because her and Ashley been standing in the corner talking crap the whole time about Morgan and just kind of staring at her. And I think that was one of the reasons that Ashley even brought this girl to the situation. And Morgan is done with the BS and she's approaching this girl. They start getting into the middle of it, honey. I hope this restaurant got insurance. These people are not here for the ratchet. And it's just, the fight got really high school. They start calling each other names and, Ashley can't believe the situation. She's like, Morgan, you're grown, you're a business owner, you're a mom. Like, what are you doing? You need to be responsible. And she's saying a lot of this stuff in person, but also in the green screen, saying like, what are you doing? Like, how are you representing yourself? You look ridiculous. And I have to say that starting off this fight, like with this little argument, was very dry. And Pagolia is not really saying nothing back. Like, she's starting to backtrack on all of the shit she was talking with Ashley. And it's one of those things like, oh, you had all of this to say, but now that I'm approaching you about the situation, you won't have anything to say. You're on mute. And this just goes back and forth. To be honest with you, part of the issue with them started to feel a little inauthentic to me. It felt very forced. I'm not getting the whole jump over the table scenario that we all love to see. And I was like, we need to just grab a little bit of that Evelyn energy, even though I don't care for Evelyn, that she gave Jennifer when she was going to leap on her. And, they repeat the whole rundown all over again about Morgan being, this person and needs to not be a fighter. It's trying too hard. And essentially, like, the restaurant people are like, look, y'all need to go on and break this up. We are not this type of place. And it makes, Megan try to decide like whether or not these girls were, right to get together. Like, she wasn't expecting all this as she's trying to transition to her Zen mode. Then it becomes this pushing scenario between Morgan and Ashley, as the people are trying to move them out. It very much gave Kim and Courtney when they were fighting that time, pushing each other back and forth, except there was no punches. And it was just, again, the Morgan stop, Ashley stop, Morgan stop, Ashley stop, Morgan stop, Ashley stop. It was just very 12th grade. And I didn't care for Ashley's smart mouth, so I was appreciative of Morgan approaching her. But the second grade scrapping, we could have just really left that alone. And they proceed to walk out, and, somebody says somebody's life is a joke, and we move on. So Megan is saying, like, look, this brunch was not a good idea, but it absolutely was, because this is how you're going to keep your spot. And the girls just have this like lengthier discussion about why this is just not a smart situation. And as they're walking out, Ashley goes, and that's why she's a divorcee.
Yeah.
So next we meet up with Neek and Milan. So this is the day after the whole, 12th grade battle. And Milan was the one that did not make it to the brunch. And she's on the basketball court introducing herself to us. And when I tell you the BBL was BBLing confusing me, look, Milan is a beautiful girl. And honestly, the BBL is just excessive. It actually just doesn't seem to move together. It's kind of separately and a little bit down dumpy. And she doesn't need it because she has a great body and she is giving diaper, not curvature the way it should. And she's an athlete, so she had an athletic body. I'm not really sure why she did all of that. It just, to me, wasn't necessary. Quite a few of the ladies have visited Dr. Miami, I can see, though. So Milan lets us know that she's a former college athlete, that she's a basketball influencer. Again, what the fuck is that? And she's also, an all-around bad bitch. And I ain't really mad at that. And I just like her energy off top. I really do. She says that she was previously in a relationship with Bobo from the Phoenix Suns. Honey, when they showed that picture of the two of them together, I said, oh, she got a beautiful heart. Neek is pissed that Milan did not come to the brunch, and she felt like she left them out there to hide and dry, and that they end up having this fight. And she's like, girl, what did you bring me into? Milan said she had something else to do, honey. Side note, I don't actually know. I feel like this is one of the nicest dress seasons when it comes to the confessionals and well lit. The women are just well lit in the confessionals. The dresses are very cute and sexy, jazzy and fly. This is what we needed to see in terms of that. Sometimes you see people with monstrosities on, so I just appreciated that. Anyway, back to the basketball court. So Morgan meets up with them on the blacktop and she starts having this conversation about how she really didn't want to get into the fight situation. But, the fact that Ashley brought, this uninvited guest in the form of Parakeet and they got into this fight across the room, she's a little bit embarrassed by it, but she was pissed with Ashley, and that's a lot of what happened. She keeps rolling on the fact that, had Ashley not been a mess and Parakeet had not been looking at her, it wouldn't have been a problem. But honestly, girl, you forgot to leave out those 89 glasses of champagne that you drank that helped you to even get into this eye contact fight to begin with. So Morgan is like, she feels really bad about the situation and she wants to bring the girls together on sort of like a positive event because she feels like she messed up Megan's brunch and she wants to put together a, one-on-one, like a golfing event to kind of bring the girls together. But she's basically saying, like, look, y'all need to come by yourself. Y'all need to bring a +1 because how do you even bring a +1 to an event when you were barely invited? And so she feels like Ashley came there with like a bodyguard scenario going on, knowing that something was going to jump over. She was going to start something. Were they going to jump her? And I totally understand that because why do you need to bring a second person unless you thought you were going to get into it? And what were you going to try to do? Fight her together? Morgan says that when it comes to Mackenzie, she doesn't actually have a problem with her. And she feels bad that she kind of acted an ass. And that's why she wants to have this golfing event. Neek says, why they got to do everything outside? She said, why we constantly got to be out in the sun, honey, like golf and sports. And she hates the sun. She said, but it's crazy because she only live in warm places. But she's still like, look, we got to stop doing that. And I can't front. I was here for her rants throughout the episode about the summer because I'm not the type of person that likes to do too much out in the sun. I absolutely love the summer, but I don't like excessive heat and sweating. And, I don't even like to exercise, honey, when it comes to being outside in the summer. I'm not, I'm not a beach all day girl at all. I'm very much like, you give me a good hour and a half on the beach on vacation and something like that. But then we got to do some shit indoors. So next we got Ashley grabbing some din with her husband, honey. And when I tell you seeing her husband again, it was very much, oh, like bless her heart. And so Ashley's explaining that they constantly try to go on dinner dates, especially when they're off season, because they don't get a lot of time to spend together, because when he plays, the season can be difficult. And I know for like many basketball wives, it can be weird like that. The NBA plays like 82 games a year, and half of those games are away games. But I'm thinking like, okay, because her husband doesn't really play in the NBA right now, or at least I don't think he does. I think he was doing overseas or even in the G League. They don't have the same amount of games. But either way, the season can be grueling because he has to be away for stuff. And I understand the importance of that quality time. So she's talking to her husband, Tony, and she's explaining everything that went down. When I tell you he has this permanent no-doze look on his face, when I say that man's eyes were sitting low the entire time, I felt like he was falling asleep on her multiple times in his head, but he just was trying to be respectful. Because, it's just a lot of gaggling back and forth about what occurred. Ashley steady lying to him about the ordeal that went down with Morgan. And, she's kind of blaming Morgan for the entire thing and saying that she needs to get herself together. And, I kind of agree with her in the fact that Morgan didn't need to give Lush energy. And, she is the one that approached, paraphernalia at the brunch and started talking to her about looking at her in a messy way. But Ashley, you was messy in your own right, honey. You was talking about that lady under your breath the entire time. And it even was making little slight comments when she was sitting in certain places. So you was giving that energy out that suggested that you wanted energy back. Did we low-key notice how Tony was taking shots at Morgan after Ashley explained all her lies to him? When I tell you, it was very much giving like, oh, you one of the girls. Because he goes on to tell Morgan that, yeah, he's hearing everything she's saying. He's saying, well, I hope you behaved a certain way. And he's like, you have somebody to rant to. And a lot of these ladies do not. He said that twice. And I realized that he was on some, remember your situation. Like he was basically telling her, like, realize that you don't need to do the ratchet behavior because you are not divorced. You have a husband. So remember that. You got a man. And I was just like, He was definitely digging on the fact that Morgan is divorced and she doesn't have anybody to talk to, but Ashley does, and she needs to remember that. Girl, I guess. The way I rolled my eyes when they did that little corny fist bump, I was over it. So now we back with Mackenzie and we see her walking down the street, honey, really just walking down the block because she only lives 3 doors down. And she's walking over to Neek and Dwayne's door to drop her son off. And as she drops her son off, honey, when I tell you, he bugs straight into the house and hugs Neek and runs into the back. I had never seen somebody so happy to get away from a parent. But anyway, Neek is about to close the door like, okay, honey, thanks for dropping him off. And Mackenzie says, girl, can we talk? And so they go outside to have a conversation. And Mackenzie expresses that, one of the reasons that she kind of came down and 3 doors down from them is because Dwayne doesn't get a lot of time in the off season. And she really wants to work on the co-parenting situation between her, Dwayne, and Neek. But I feel like low-key, Mackenzie might want Neek. I don't know why I'm picking up those vibes, but it's given I really want a threesome with y'all. Anyway, she starts to talk to Neek outside, and Mackenzie basically says that whatever issues lingered from last summer, she really wants them to end now. She doesn't want to bring them into this new summer as they're trying to hash things out. And Neek says again that she really doesn't have a problem with Mackenzie, but she just feels like Mackenzie, was tarnishing her name by making it seem like she was actively trying to cheat with Dwayne when, they first started dating. And Neek says that she didn't know Dwayne's complete status, like from whatever he told her, she went off of, and she thought he was single. She didn't know if there was any lingering stuff still going on with him and his baby mama. She didn't know if they were still together or what their situationship was. And she would never try to date somebody who's actively with someone else. And I have to say that while I understand where Neek was coming from, I really understood what Mackenzie was saying in this moment as well. And this is one of the things that annoys me about women in these whole interchanges in the same circle and group. And when they date these athletes and other people, it's like nobody wants to really get firm answers sometimes on whether or not somebody's out of their relationship. And I feel like a lot of these guys play these head games with these women where they're light about, I'm not in a relationship, or, we're kind of divorcing, but, this, it's like too much question marks to me that would bother me as a person, but some people it's fine with them. But it's one of these things where they'll be still messing with the baby mama, still sleeping with her, kind of still having contact. And then when the energy with the baby mama is negative with the new woman is thinking that she's jealous because the man a lot of times is telling her that, not realizing that he was just sleeping with the baby mama yesterday and telling her they're going to work it out. And it keeps that problematic energy between the women. And I just really hate that animosity exists. And that's kind of what Mackenzie ends up telling her, that it's the nature of athletes to be messy like this. And, Neek is like, hey, regardless of the situation, I really just want us to work as a blended family. Ultimately, I came from a blended family. She says that her sister and her share different moms, but they have the same dad, and their blended family works. So she knows it's something that can work itself out. And Mackenzie says that she seems like she's on the same wavelength and that she hopes that they can figure it out. Low key, I don't feel like Mackenzie is telling the truth. Child, so finally the day has come and we are now at Morgan's golfing event. And child, when I tell you this is the longest introduction episode I have ever seen for a Basketball Wives, we have met at least 18 women at this point. And the golf course is giving more municipal than it's giving private country club. I don't know. Either way, the girls are dressed in their pretty little thing finest, and they're on the golf course with the pro, having a very, very good time. We're also introduced to Lindsay Marble, who is the wife of Divine Marble, who also played in the NBA. And Morgan, Lindsay, and Mackenzie are out there having a bunch of good times with the golfing pro. And it really reminded me of the fun scenes that we have in these shows that despite the cattiness that goes on with these girls, it's nice when they're just having a good time with each other. But child, it starts to rain and they have to head inside. So, game over. And the ladies walk in from the rain and they see Milan and Neek who are at the bar catching up. And Milan and Neek, to me, are better dressed for this occasion. I just feel like with some of the girls who were wearing on the course just didn't make sense, honey. And I'm just really hoping that Morgan stays away from the bar. And as I am thinking that in my head, here comes Megan strolling in with Nikki Nicole. Now I got to interrupt our regularly scheduled program because do y'all remember Nikki Nicole when she was on Black Ink Crew? So for those who remember, she was the girlfriend of Four who was on Black Ink Crew when she was on for like a couple of episodes, and she even came back when they like were having some trauma or drama going on with their relationship, and they essentially broke up on the very same show. And if y'all remember, like Black Ink Crew, she was getting into it with Kat early on because Four was also messing with Kat before they got together. And then she thought that Kat still wanted him. And I just have to point out how when you move away from drama, most times, your life will really just expand when you move away from some of these dusty ass men. Isn't it ironic that after Kat left, went to LA, started her own tattoo shop, honey, she ended up married to an NFL player, 2 wonderful kids with a thriving business, amazing tattoo shop that is also now on its own show, I believe. And Black Ink Crew that was in Chicago ain't even around no more, honey. And that shop then closed down. Nikki left for dusty ass, went on to Atlanta, built a really thriving hair beautician business, and is doing very well for herself. And now is back on TV in her own rights. It's just very much giving, when you change course from the ashy mofos, you end up attaining better heights. So Nikki says that she's a bit disappointed when she and Megan walk in and all the girls are inside because now that it's raining, she really actually wanted to try the golfing situation and she's dressed really cute for the occasion. So she's kind of mad that, they can't golf. Now, we know production probably low-key set up this day and made sure that they started golfing at the rainiest time because, honey, they really wanted them inside drinking so that, something might break out. So Morgan says that it's cool, even though it rained and it kind of rained on the parade of the event she was trying to throw because she really wanted to have them girls learning golf. She feels like the brunch and drinks will work too. And when I say after she says that, the awkwardness of these women not really knowing each other and being pulled together is completely apparent because they're sitting at that table and it's giving dry energy, honey. It's giving we need a conversation starter. And of course, I'm thinking, Megan's going to step up to the plate because, that's what they pay her for. But shockingly, it's Lindsay, the new girl, and she is sitting there pregnant and ready to pop off with some messiness. Megan is looking to Lindsay, and Lindsay automatically says that, she feels like this is a really big group. And when I tell you, honey, it's the size of a jury. And she senses that there are some tensions amongst the group and things that are not being said. And maybe it's best that everybody put it out on the table. And all of a sudden, Megan says, girl, thank you for this. I mean, you finally somebody speaks up because, Megan was getting bored, honey. And she's like, I think that is true. Like, do you want to say something? And Lindsay says, no, girl, I thought you wanted to say something to Morgan. And when I tell you, Megan's face was like, bitch, what? Like, what is going on? And she says, you know what? Let me find out you the messy pregnant girl in the group. And might I add you that she's probably also hungry because there's no food at the table. So Megan turns to Morgan and says that, she's just going to put it out there. She used to date Morgan's ex Eric, and, they went on 2 group dates together, and she just wanted to like lay that out there and let her know she never meant for it to come out the way it did. Lindsay being messy and bringing up that, she might have something to say. She always wanted to tell, Morgan in a private situation. And I was glad that, I didn't know, I was glad that, Megan was being honest to Morgan. Girl, these M's is messing with me. But I also was wondering, are we going to get Kimbella and Emily energy? Like, girl, just spit it out. Just, Megan is going over around like, oh, it's only 2 days to the girl. Just say that y'all was both dating Fab at the same time. So Megan goes on to explain that, again, she didn't mean to embarrass her. And all of a sudden, we kind of see Morgan's face contorting as Megan is telling her the story. We don't know where it's going to go. Now, as far as we can tell, Morgan hasn't had but maybe one drink, honey. She do that little margarita that she had a refill on. And I'm like, okay, is this going to give Chrissy situation? Are we going to get contact? What's going on? And actually, Morgan handles it very well and says, look, girl, a lot of stuff came out during our divorce. I'm not surprised. I'm glad you were a woman enough to tell me. Welcome to Orlando. I ain't got no beef for you. And in the green scheme, why Nikki gonna say that, this is messy as hell. She feel like, the industry, but it is common that the industry overlaps with people dating each other, honey. But she said everybody is for everybody. And I absolutely agree. There is too much mixing and matching at this table. And I also don't quite get the understanding of it being an overlap. If you are fucking somebody's husband while they still married, that's not really an overlap. He's just cheating, but okay. So Megan appreciates that, again, Morgan took it in a positive fashion and, appreciates that Morgan welcomed her to Atlanta. And then Megan proceeds to ask her, like, girl, what's your issue with Ashley? Because obviously they got into it at Megan's event. And Morgan says that Ashley and her were friends for a very long time. And, they were very cool. And when she moved to Orlando, she found out, or she was moving to Orlando, she found out that Ashley was putting men around her husband to basically try to fuck him. And essentially that, she was preparing women for him to like have with sex on the road. She was procuring those women for him to get down with when he was traveling from city to city playing. So Ashley is like, a pimp? I don't know what's going on here. It's like, Mama D, like, what's going on? Are you a madam, Ashley? We need more answers. And of course, Ashley's not at the brunch. So Milan explains that, Neek and her were very cool as well with Ashley, and she didn't know like all of the situation, and that, Ashley even had her in her lawsuit, and, she's trying to be besties with this girl and everything like that. But she was getting disturbed more and more when she was dealing with Ashley because she actually saw firsthand Ashley mock Morgan's husband cheating on her. It's clear that Ashley is rubbing the girls the wrong way, and she's very grimy. Like, to make fun of some woman's having to divorce and break up a family over infidelity when you are married yourself with children with the husband in the same lifestyle, it's just absolutely abhorrible. Hooking up holes with the husbands is the fastest way to get your ass whooped as well. Can't do that with Jackie Christie husband, honey. Anyway, Milan says that, she dealt with Morgan, like she hasn't dealt with Morgan in like a year, and she stopped messing with Morgan herself because she found out that Morgan befriended one of her enemies. And so it's clear that Ashley looking to get tossed up sometime this season. And Milan also lets the girls at the table know, you need to watch out, you know what I'm saying? Because when I first met Ashley, she told me a lot of crap about Morgan, and it gave me a perception about Morgan that ended up not being true. And as a result, I kind of separated myself from Morgan over time. But then I realized that Ashley was the one that was not to be trusted. And, nobody's safe. So watch your back. And as they're saying all this, Mackenzie, who is present and still friends with Ashley, although Nick says she was cool with Ashley too, but Mackenzie has gotten really close to Ashley very fast. And so this is kind of all new information she's hearing about Ashley. She's been hearing about the girls through Ashley when she's been talking to her, but I don't think has heard about Ashley from the other women. So this is her first time hearing this. And so Megan turns to her and says, well, girl, how do you feel being friends with her like that? Because I know you're very cool. And I know that, like, she tells you a lot of information, because when we first met, you were talking to me and asking me questions about Eric. And the only way that you could have known that was if Ashley talks to Eric, because I ain't tell nobody about Eric. And so she says, and I know for a fact that she still talks to Eric. Girl, it was messy. So the girls just continue to have a conversation about how, Morgan and Ashley's situation demised, and also how Mackenzie feels. And Mackenzie feels like she should, remove herself from the table, because she's like, well, if I'm the only cool one with Ashley here, then I kind of feel weird sitting here being her friend or saying I'm her friend and y'all are talking about her while she's here. And they're like, no, you can sit and listen, there's nothing wrong with that or whatever. But they were grilling her a lot on the fact that she was affiliated with Ashley. It almost felt like she was an Ashley stand-in for what they really wanted to say to her. And I kind of felt a little bad for Mackenzie, because honestly, if I'm at a situation and I'm cool with somebody that everybody don't get along with, like, don't bring your energy or issues that you have with her onto me. It's fine for you to discuss that y'all don't mess with her. And so a couple of times Mackenzie's like, well, should I just leave, go to the bathroom and come back? Like, I don't have to be here when you're talking about her, because it just feels weird. And I honestly think it would feel weird if she didn't go back and tell her friend. Now, we know Ashley a snake, but in the situation they're in, this is stuff that I think Mackenzie is learning about for the first time. And they said, no, it's cool. Like, you can sit and stay. It's not something that you have to like move around, but you need to know who your friend is. So we move on from the I Hate Ashley brunch, and we are now connecting with Ashley and Morgan, because something that stuck out for Morgan was when it was revealed that Ashley still talks to Eric on a regular basis. And that was told by Megan. So, Morgan wants to get down to the bottom of the situation, because Ashley has just been in the mix of her marriage, and it's very, very annoying. She's heard, Ashley said things about her kids, all kinds of stuff. So it's like, let's get into the mix of it. And so they ended up meeting up at some random restaurant, honey, but you could definitely tell that they was filming because these conversations that they're going back and forth with, and the setup in the background it was very extra for them to just be there. But they do show us some background scenes where we can kind of get an understanding of Ashley and Morgan's relationship. And we can see that they had good times, positive times, where they're hugging each other, where they say that they love each other, where they say that they're positive. So I wonder how ahead of time were they filming these girls, because these scenes are not that long ago, where they're showing them, supporting each other, saying that they have each other's back, that they love each other. They got different hair colors and hairstyles. So I wonder how long they've been filming these girls. But you could see in that exchange that Ashley and, Morgan had a very positive and supportive friendship. So it's just weird to me, but Ashley's giving fake bitch energy. So let's move on. So they meet up in present day, and Ashley, is going to make sure she going to have on her hoodie, honey, with her clothing line. She going to let y'all know, I am definitely going to walk up and you going to see my attire. They walk into the restaurant and they're sitting down, and they start having a conversation about a showdown. Morgan asks her, do you have anything that you want to say? Because I feel like you've just been fake this whole time about everything that went on at the brunch, and the fact that you're still contacting my ex. And she's like, I don't talk to your ex or whatever. And she's like, yes, you do. She said, I know you talk to him because, it's already been confirmed. She's like, and then Ashley kind of starts to lie again, but then she says, like, I talked to Bianca or Brianna, who I think is the new girl. And it's very much giving high school fight. It was giving Mean Girls. And she says, I talked to Brianna. I don't talk to Eric. And Morgan says, you're lying. I know you talk to him because there's things that that Brianna would not know. And, she basically calls her a snake ass bitch. And they start to go back and forth. And it's just like, again, one of these high school arguments about like, why are you talking to my ex? Why are you bringing up, other things? Like, I really had your back. You can see that Morgan is very hurt, however, because she feels like she really embraced Ashley into the basketball world. And I will say this, that I think I remember Jackie Christie talking about this once before, about how, like, when you get to these new cities, a lot of times these women can be very cold to you. Like, they're not always open, and you're not, you're new. These people could be very embracing, and they could be very nice, could give you sunbeam energy, or they could give you like, out in the cold energy. And so when you meet another wife on the team that like reaches out to you and is really welcoming and nice to you, it helps. People usually get along with you right away. And they kind of bring you in the fold, and you need that support system, because this might be a strange town to you and everything. And so Morgan says, like, that's what I did for you when you was in Milwaukee. I embraced you. Nobody was your friend, and you didn't know anybody. And I was the only one who was like, girl, let's connect. And I had your back through everything. And Ashley's not denying any of these things. That's the crazy part. And it just makes you feel like you're just more and more on Morgan's side, because she just genuinely feels like this girl switched up on her once her husband was no longer in the city. And so, Ashley tries to explain herself. Morgan tells her to shut up. And, Ashley gets pissed off, and she says, well, I'm going. I'm not staying. And so she gets up to walk past. And while she walked past the cameras and the cameraman, I don't think he had finished setting up the scene, because they had just been sitting at the table for less than 5 minutes. So Morgan is sitting at a table by herself again. And Ashley's like, look, if you want to act like a kid, I'm going to let you sit here in daycare. And so she's walking off, and then she walks off to like behind the restaurant, honey, or the mall. I don't know where they were. And she ends up in like some passenger van or SUV. I mean, not production provided the transportation. They ain't even doing fake car scenes anymore. Remember, people used to roll up in their SUV and have an argument and then roll off, and they stopped doing that, I guess. So Morgan follows Ashley to the van. They start having a back and forth going on. They running in between the production people. Ashley's like, girl, leave me alone. I ain't got time for this. This is ridiculous. Honey, they fighting behind this like the DSW sign in the back of the shopping complex. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So that's the end of the episode. To me, this season is shaping up to be a little bit of something, but I have to be careful because VH1 and Shawnee have fooled us before. There's far too many M names in this situation, but I think the girls can really grow on me. I definitely like Neek, Milan, and Megan the most. And I'm starting to grow on Morgan. But y'all let me know what y'all think and how y'all felt about this new franchise. Leave your comments below, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. As always, y'all, let me know what you thought about the episode down in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.